Hello everybody, in this video I'm gonna explain how we can plan and organize our work in TFS 2015 update 1 using Scrum and Agile planning tools. So first thing we need to do is to create a new project. So I have here Visual Studio 2015. Through Team Explorer we can create a new project and uh, the name for the project next. And yeah, this is the first thing. You as a team have to decide on which process template you are gonna use and follow through the project to deliver whatever project you want to deliver. So, and this depends on how the team used to getting it done. It depends on your team and your understanding and the requirements of each project. So the explanation and description of each process is out of the scope of this video. However, you can visit Microsoft MSDN documentation for the description of different processes they have. And we have Agile, CMMI, and Scrum. And for this demo, I'm gonna use the Scrum for this project. So we can let's start in this project. So this is the overview dashboard of the just created project. So we have here first thing to do is to configure the and organize our project through two concepts. We have work areas and we have schedule and iterations. So I'll start with work areas here in that link. Configure our work areas. By default, we have one area which is the default area of the whole project, and the concept of areas. Work areas are used to organize the work within a team project into small pieces, usually when the project is large, based on either logical, physical, or functional boundaries. So, for example, if we have a project that will have like 3 or 4 different interfaces, like we have a web app, mobile app, and desktop, and even web APIs or whatever. So we need to organize and to manage the requirements, the backlog items for each area of them separately. So we can create like under the main area, we can create and say web app and another one a new one, another one called mobile, and we can have for web services, we can have for the desktop, and so on and so forth. So we can have multiple areas based on functional areas, and this way we can customize and we can organize our work. Um, and of course we can have sub areas. And one more thing for areas, you can through areas you can manage the security of each area. Like we have a team that should have access only to the web application and its work items, so you can at that level of area you can specify which team member have access to each area of them. This is one thing, and even areas will make it easy to manage and report and filter the work items based on their area. This is one concept we can use to organize our work. And the second concept is the iterations. And iteration is if work areas is all about the functional areas, and so the iterations is about the time. It's about like the phases of the development of our project. It could reflect your releases plan. So we have by default one iteration, which is the whole project, the default one, TFS demo Scrum, and we can set some estimated dates for the start and end date of the whole project, and even we can add some other releases. So we can create new like release 1, and under this release we have, and we say we can have a start date and end date. This release will last for two months, for example. So it started from today to end of this year, and this is one release, and we can add more childs like sprint 1 in release 1, like sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3, and we can set dates, for example, for this sprint which will last for 1 month, so end of November, for example. And we can add sprint 2, sprint 3, and the release 1. So we can have like releases. Each release has its sprints, so we can organize and plan our work into time boxed sprints and plan for our releases as well. Uh, After finishing these two parts, we now are going to show how we can create and organize our backlog items and how we can break down our work items into tasks to be completed. And then we need also to manage the team capacity. And team capacity is the amount of work the team will work and the team will do into this sprint. So I will start from the backlog here. So we can add some work items, and work item could be anything that needs some work to be done for this item to be completed. So, and you can see the through the this web portal, it's very easy to start writing your work items. For example, we can say we have item 1 and item 2, and item 3. And as you can see here, we don't need to write too much details up front when we add our item. We just add the title for our items, and then later on when we get more details, we can double click on any one of these items, and then we start adding more details. I'll go through the different fields in this screen. You will find the tags here. You can add some tags like this, like we'll say the development, and the tags could be anything. We use it to make the reporting and filtering work items, and even creating charts and tracking the progress based on this tags. So tags could be anything. We can use it later to in reports and in filters and in our queries as well. So second thing we have is the item title, and this is the 15 number is just auto identity for each item. So, and the iteration could be, this is one of the iterations we already defined in our project. So we can say this work item is in this sprint or this iteration, and assigned to is the list. This will show the list of team members in your team, and we can have multiple teams in our project, and we can have multiple team members. So you will get this list of all team members. You can pick one of them. And if you are connected to Windows domain and you have a lot of users, you can just by type the username or what any information, you can get the username, even if it's not added in the team. You can add it through this screen. So, and the state is just new, and the area, this is what same areas we were talking about. Like if it's a part of the mobile, of the web, it's in the it's at the level of the whole project, and that's it. And the priority, this is some like stack rank. It's ranking of the order of implementation, and the second field is the effort. Effort is the estimated effort this item will need to be completed. And efforts in Scrum, it's not hours, it's not days, it's any unit of work the team can agree on. So it's something similar like story points in agile process template, or even size in CMMI process template. So anyway, we can say 10. And yeah, the unit of work, it means it's comparing items to each other. So if I said this will take 10 and another item will take 5, it means this item is twice bigger than the other item. And the business value, it's very clear how the customer values this item, and the higher the value, the more important to the customer. So if we said 5, it will be more important to the customer than if we said 4, for example. And we have the value area. We have two values here. This is architectural. This item, the backlog item, is architectural requirement. It's like non-functional requirement, something related to performance, maintainability, quality, anything, but not the business. And the business is the functions as well. And you can find here in this screen the description field of the item. You could write just, this is just a text that will describe the item. You can write it using, for example, the user story format. You can, whatever, any format the team can agree on, and will be consistent through the all items. That will help the team easily understand and grasp the description of each item. So, and the story points, storyboards. Storyboards is a way to visualize the ideas of this item. If the description, the text description of this item is not enough to explain the requirement, you can use storyboards. Storyboards is a plugin on Microsoft Office PowerPoint. When you install Visual Studio 2015, you will get the plugin for the. It will be installed automatically on the PowerPoint. So through this one, you can start this storyboarding and create visual elements to express the ideas behind this item, which make it easier to understand. And test cases, all test cases will be used to test this item, and the tasks, we'll talk more about tasks later on. This is the tasks needed to be done to be implemented for this item to be completed. And the tasks with, it is a work item type that we are going to track later on to visualize the progress of our or to track the progress of the development of our tasks. So, and acceptance criteria will be used by the quality assurance team to build their test cases, when the team can say this is what the customer wanted. So based on acceptance criteria, history will show you the history of this item, and you can see it's visualized as well. So when it's created, and all other states will be visualized in this timeline. And links, you can link this item to any other item. You just can link it to any other item, existing item or just a new item. And as well, attachments, you can attach any file to this item as well. This is the form that we use to create a new item, and that's it. So the good thing is that web portal is providing so many easy functions which will make us faster to organize our backlog. For example, if I want to say the order of item 3 should be higher than item 2, item 3 should be implemented before item 2, I can just drag it and the order will be changed. If I want to add tasks to that item 1, for example, I can just click here and I get tasks. I can say task 1 should be implemented, which is blah blah blah, should be implemented to be done for this item to be completed, and I can add more tasks like task 2, for example, and so on, and I can add more tasks under each one of these items. There are two other things I want to talk about regarding organizing our backlog. So we have something called features. If you can, on the right corner of the screen, left corner of the screen, you can see the feature thing. We can group our work items into features. So we can say we have feature 1, feature 2, feature 3, and feature 2. And if you can see here in the top of that the backlog one, you can see the mapping is off and we can make it on, and the mapping is will show you all the backlog items and the features, so you can map features to map work items to features. So like if I click on backlog items, and you will get here the list of all features. So I can drag and drop one item or two items in each feature. So, and this is also a nice capability here. You can drag multiple items and just drop them in one feature, so I will get them under one feature. And to make sure everything is organized correctly in the hierarchy, you can, in that parent, you can say hi, you can show it, so you can see the feature 1 has 2 items, feature item 2 is unparented backlog item, and we can move it to just feature 2, so you can see it this way. And we have one more One more level of organization we can use. By default, it's not visible, so we can click on settings dialog and we can see some settings, and we can enable epics. Epics can have a group of features. Same way as we've done with the work items, we can come to the epics, create some new epics, and then we can map features to that, to the epics. So I can come to epics here and say, at the same way, we can start just adding epic by title, and epic 1, epic 2, and we can just by clicking on epic we can get more details similar to the work items, and we can add more details. So if we get back to the features, we can see the epics on the right corner of the screen. So we can even map feature 1 to epic 1, feature 2 to epic 2, so we can have more organization of our work. If you get back to backlog items, you can see the whole hierarchy or level, epic, feature, and then items. And the good thing about the web portal, in terms of the ease of use, you can see we can move one item from one feature to the other feature just by dragging and drop. I can drag this one and move it under feature 2, and the multiple items as well is applicable. So we can organize our stuff, we can move features from one epic to another epic, and as well, and we can even customize the this screen, the backlog itself, by going to settings, and we can customize the columns. This is the columns of the boards. So the uh, yes, how, yeah, sorry, from column options, yes, from column options we can, this is the whole list of all fields we have in the work item. We can add more to our screen here to be directly shown on that one. The third thing we can do when it comes to sprint, for example, the last thing we have is team capacity. Yes, we don't have any work items on our sprint, and we can add work item directly into the sprint, or we can get some from our backlog items. So I can just by drag and drop move some of the items into our current prints. So I can get this item from this feature and this item from this feature and drag both of them into sprint 1. So I can click on sprint 1 now, and I can see these two items. So I'm gonna skip board now, the task board and the campaign board. Hopefully I can create another video to explain how we can use campaign to track and monitor our progress. So I'm now the last point to into this video is the team capacity. So, and the team capacity is the amount of work and effort the team can deliver in the current sprint. And in the team capacity you can add all the team members, and you can have multiple teams, and through settings we can add multiple teams. But however, for simplicity, I'll just explain what we can do here in the capacity tab of the backlog of the current sprint. So this is the only team members we have, and we can add more through this icon. So we can add more users into our project, and for each user we can, for each team member, we can specify which date through this sprint he will be off. So this efforts will be deducted from the total effort, amount of effort in this sprint. So I can say this user will be off on this day, for example, 1 day off for this user. And for the whole team, if the whole team have like public holiday or something, so I can say this day is a public holiday for everybody in the team, so the effort of this day will be deducted from all of the team members, which will be reflected on the total amount of effort available for this sprint. And for each team member we can specify one activity or more in this sprint. For example, this team member will work on requirements for 1 hour, and every day, for example, and he will work 5 hours every day on the development, and we can save this. And as we work based on the length of the sprints, we can get the amount of efforts we have. By clicking on sprint one. Oh yes. Okay. Sorry. This is because we didn't specify dates for this sprint. So I'm going to set some dates for this sprint so they can calculate the efforts based on how many days in the sprint. So I'm saying sprint one will start from this day and it will end by just like 1 week. Okay, 1 week sprint. So we can, after we specify the dates, now we can see the on the right corner of this screen we can see the live progress of our efforts. So by having this one, you can see here the team, because I'm 6 hours per day for one team member. So for like this is like for 3 days in the week. So we can have like 18 hours per week, and we have 15 for development, and we have 3 for requirements, and we've done none or nil for all of the different activities. So and one more thing here is the working days. We can specify the off days of each team member and off days for the entire team, and as well we can specify which days are off. For example, Fridays off and Saturdays off, but and working days like yes, Fridays off, Saturdays off, and Sunday. This is a work day based on your environment or which country you're working on. So you can even specify the work days. So you will have full control over your sprint capacity. So after we add some tasks, as we mentioned here in the backlog, we can, through the backlog, we can change the remaining work for each one, or through the port. And I'll explain the port and how we can use it to change the status of the tasks later on in a coming video, hopefully. Thank you. Bye.